Okay, it is 5:30 and I would like to call the board meeting of the Hicksville Exempted Village School District to order. Roll call, please.
Thank you, Madam President. All right, I'll get here. Mr. Iden.
Here.
Mrs. Jones.
Here.
Mrs. Mazur.
Here.
Mr. Methvin.
Here.
And Mrs. Carrier.
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome. We have a fuller house than normal. Jerry Hayes, you are up first with the Defiance County Economic Development.
Thank you, Jennifer. Back tonight to talk about the Hillendale Farms, Ohio LLC Enterprise Zone Agreement application. I provided some updated information to Mr. Ruin for your consideration. I was here in June to talk to you about this, and since then quite a bit has happened. A couple of you I know met with the Defiance County Commissioners. I've met with Hicksville Township Trustees and with Fort County Career Center School Board. Through all of this, the discussion has revolved around, the terms for the Enterprise Zone Agreement. And you've stated your request for a school donation. On August 3rd, Orland Bethel, the owner and chairman of Hillendale Farms, Ohio, did have a phone conversation with the Defiance County Commissioners and discussed their situation, the reason for the investment, and their rationale behind asking for a tax exemption here in the early years of the expansion project. It was 2 days later, then I received an email from their controller, Hillendale's controller, announcing that they were going to increase the size of the proposed expansion out to 17 layer buildings, with the addition of 2 additional jobs, bringing the new jobs up to 16 in number, and the expansion project total then is $26 million, made up of roughly a little over $7 million in real property investment for the 4 layer buildings, a manure storage shed, and driveway improvements, which will all be considered real property. The rest then is machinery and equipment totaling over $16 million, coming up with a total new project investment of $26,023,000. With this information then, the commissioners discussed this among themselves and made a decision that they would support an enterprise zone exemption of 70%. You'll see in the application that Hillendale had asked for 80%, but the commissioners decided that 70% exemption would be appropriate for a term of 10 years with school donations to both Hicksville and to Fort County Career Center. $5,000 per year to Hicksville schools and $500 per year to Fort County Career Center. And so in the packet I've given you tonight, you should see projections of how the taxes would lay out with that arrangement. If you don't see that, I must have it in the back here. So attached in here also is the draft of the agreement, the application itself, proposed school donation agreements between Hillendale, the commissioners, and the schools, then waivers of notice. So I'd like to just run through that real quick. On enterprise zone applications that are for greater than 60% in a non-incorporated area of Ohio, the law requires that you be given up to 45 days notice before the commissioners would take formal action. We have tentatively scheduled that consideration to take place on Monday, August 31st at 10:30 a.m. Now that's not 45 days from now, of course. But do remember that it did come to you at your June, I believe it was 15th, school board meeting. So we've been working at this pretty much all summer. So my request tonight would be that you consider the 70% for the term of 10 years with the accompanying school donation of $5,000 per year. So I see, you can see what I projected to be the taxes forgiven, the taxes to still be paid, the 30%, and then the $5,000 to you and $500 per year to Fort County Career Center. Find that in a spreadsheet. It's got some blue ink on there. Galen's looking at that. For this to happen on August 31st, then I need to ask you to waive your notice. You're not giving up rights. You're simply acknowledging that you've received notification. And then, of course, you still do have the right to make in-person comments to the county commissioners or in writing to state any additional comments that you wish them to consider given the new information that Hill and Dale has sent us. So I apologize I was off last week and I received this information, I believe, on August 6th or 7th. So we discussed this with the commissioners earlier today, and that's why I'm here today. So I will go back to Hicksville Township tomorrow evening, and then I'm going to Fort County School Board on Thursday evening.
I'm looking at quite a few numbers on here,
Sure.
trying to completely understand it, but the original offer was 80% on 7 years because it was going to go retroactive to the original 10 years, correct?
No.
That
was
was
what we
discussed,
wanted.
but that was
That's
not
what we
the
wanted.
original.
That was what we
request.
discussed, okay.
Yes.
Yes, that was discussed. And you'll see in the application, again, they asked for 80%. That's what they asked for. The commissioners are stating that they feel that 70% with a school donation would be more appropriate.
I want to say I appreciate the commissioners listening to us, asking for our opinion, and you as well, working, all summer long on this. We do appreciate you working with us and making it a little bit more palatable. We appreciate what you've done. We appreciate the business. We're glad Hill and Dale is here. It's good for the community. So we appreciate everything you've done.
Thank you. And Superintendent Countryman has, expressed similar views to the commissioners, and I always say it, you guys have been very good to work with over the years. Looking at these numbers, Hill and Dale now is currently at over $60 million in investment in what they have now, and this additional $26 million proposed would put them over $86 million proposed for the community in an investment. And the 16 jobs would take them up to, do my math, 142 jobs.
Wow.
They had 126 at the end of 2019. So very definitely a very significant project for the Hicksville community. And as I said in June, I understand you have to watch out for every dollar of school revenue for your taxpayers and students and parents. So this is business, not trying to do something out of the public eye.
Hey, Jerry?
Yes, Ron?
Yes, I've got a question and a statement. First, the statement more to the board, just so that you understand. The tax on there, the $10,465, that is for all the taxing entities within that taxing area. So we don't get 100% of that. So all that 10,465, we're probably usually in the neighborhood of 65, 67, 68%. I don't know for sure, but somewhere in that area is what schools usually get. And then my question then to you, Jerry, is it says A, acquisition of building 6.8 million. Does acquisition mean construction?
Yes.
Building new?
In this case, it means constructing new.
Okay.
That's language from ODSA, and it's not really the best language in this case. They are constructing new buildings.
And then the additions, new construction B line item is other items associated with it looks, so the electric, excavation, driveway, so
Right.
so the total construction, I think, at least how I would look at it, would be about 9 million.
True. We always try to stay very conservative on that, Mike, and so you see that discounted at 70% off of their construction estimate on that spreadsheet. None of us will know exactly the tax revenue created until this comes on to the tax rolls and the county auditor's appraisal firm comes out and puts a market value on it. Then that will be the value at which they are taxed on their buildings. So I'm kind of throwing a dart here and hoping to hit somewhere in the middle.
Thanks.
But good points. Thanks very much. And
Thank you.
so I'll get back with Keith tomorrow and hear of your desires and see if you wish to waive the notice and any other message you'd like to send on to the commissioners.
Does the tax savings, 24,000, is that after the 10,000 plus the 5,500? Is that
Yeah.
added, are those added together?
No, they're actually subtracted
Right,
off
right.
to get to the column there on the
Okay,
right.
all right.
That's right.
Yep, okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and another comment with the additional employees associated, their estimated annual new employment payroll is $333,000, which will equate to at our income tax of just a little under $5,000 a year. So there's several avenues of revenue here with the income tax, with the payment in lieu of, and the taxes themselves. So, you know, you'd have to add those all together as far as what we're going to receive back from it, so.
Any district. I'm sorry?
If they live in our district.
Yes,
Right.
they would have to live in the
Yeah.
district. Good point. If they don't, then it doesn't do us.
Then again, if
Any
they
good
don't
there.
live here, then we're not educating their children either. So,
Well, unless they open and roll in, which then we do get additional funding.
right.
If they are already here, we don't necessarily get additional funding.
Okay. You know, at this point, I mean, in previous years, we've discussed it and we've chosen whether or not to kind of go with the resolution that they've included here for us. You know, my personal opinion, we've kind of gone round with them once already. I kind of feel like this is the best we're going to get. It has to be fair and equitable on both parts. So for me, I'm okay with going ahead with the resolution and the waiver.
We don't need a motion.
Well, we
just
do.
need- oh, okay. All right, I would make a motion that we waive our notice for the 45 days.
So, hold on.
That we would go with this agreement. It's much better than what we started with.
Yes.
Much better.
Okay. So within our packet, we have an agreement. The board, it's halfway through. It's kind of towards the end. There is the gifting of the 5,000. That's part of the agreement. There is
Page 13,
yeah, well, they all start over again.
right? Do they?
Yes.
So Jerry, do we just need a motion to approve the enterprise zone agreement? Is that what we're needing right now?
Waive the notice and to, if you'd like this, we're supporting the enterprise zone agreement with the attached donation. I definitely would put something in there about, having a donation.
I didn't see it in here anywhere.
So
Well,
the
yeah.
agreement, it says that the enterprise has applied for the 70% for the 10 years. And then in number 1, it also says the $5,000 per year between Hilladale Farms and the commissioners and the board, the Hicksville Exempted School Board. So, I mean, we could do the as presented, the motion or the agreement as presented. And then there's a separate one for the waiver of time.
So do you think you need 2 motions? You're putting it all in one?
Or I would say 2, because the resolution as presented and then the waiver as presented.
Okay.
Mike, does that sound okay?
Well, I'm still trying to figure this out. There's,
So is it 5%
So-
or $5,000?
Mike,
$5,000.
the agreement looks,
On
it says
page
agreement across
13.
the top.
Page 13.
Yes, it was towards the end of the packet. The agreement across the top for the Hicksville Exempted Village. And then,
It's actually the last 3 pages.
okay, last 3 pages? I took mine apart already.
To these 2 pages. This right here, right?
Yes. Sorry, folks, it's a lot of paperwork.
on 13,
It does say 5%.
It's
it says
5%.
5%.
Not 5,000.
Page 13,
That, I believe, is the commissioner's infrastructure revolving loan fund, is it not? Mike?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
It
okay.
says Defiance
Okay.
County Infrastructure.
That doesn't apply.
Okay.
On page
does
Gotcha.
not
1.
apply to us.
All right.
On the agreement that says page 1, it does have $5,000 per year to Hicksville Exempted
Okay.
Village School District.
The agreement is that you will receive a $5,000 fixed dollar donation each of the 10 years.
And that it's a 70% abatement for 10 years.
Right. Okay, so you want me to make my motion for that?
I just want to give Mike a chance to catch up.
I mean,
Yeah,
the
okay.
agreement's on the very back part. page
Yeah,
one,
I just
it's
hadn't
there.
gotten to the actual agreement.
Yeah. So are we all on the same page now, literally? Very literally.
So what are we doing here?
So we're going to do a motion for the agreement.
Well, we should probably make one to waive first.
Yeah, waive notice and then.
Okay.
Waive the notice.
So we're going to do a motion to waive notice, 45-day notice.
I will make that motion.
Okay, Minda
And I'll second it.
and Steph. Can we have a roll call, Mike?
Okay, so how should that read? Motion to waive 45-day notice?
Yes.
Waiver of notice period for Ohio Enterprise Zone Agreement.
What page is that?
Here.
12?
Oh, of course, that one had a page number of the agreement in it.
Yeah, page, appendix 1, page 12.
Mm-hmm.
So, we want to do a motion to approve waiver of notice period for Ohio Enterprise Zone Agreement of, as what it is, so I think probably just as that. Okay, did we have?
I made the motion. Steph seconded.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Mazur,
Yes.
Mr. Iden,
Yes.
Mr. Methvin,
Yes.
and Mrs. Carrier.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Now I would like a motion for the agreement between the Board of Commissioners, the Hicksville Exempted School Board, and the Hillendale Farms as presented for the 70% abatement, including the $5,000 per year gift agreement as presented.
I'll move.
I'll second.
So a motion to approve enterprise zone agreement
Yes,
with Hillendale Farms.
Commissioners and the board, yes.
Is that written somewhere?
So all on page 1, in the very back part, right?
The last 3 pages. of
Last
the
3
first-
pages there. Page
the whole
1.
packet, I mean.
The numbering's a little,
Confusing.
starts over every once in a while.
It's the second number 1.
The second number.
I think it's like the third number 1.
Third.
Yeah, because there's a second part in there about the waiver. But, you know, numeration.
So it'll be a motion as noted here with the Board of Commissioners and Hicksville Schools and Hillendale Farms. And then with these, how did you say that, with the 70%?
Real property tax abatement for 10 years,
And the $5,000.
gift.
Per year.
And this is actually a resolution. Because that's how, when you go to sign the paperwork, it'll state that. So this we're passing as a resolution that you'll number later.
I can't write and listen at the same time, sorry. Okay, who made the motion?
And then Galen
And I
seconded.
Mrs. Mazur,
Yes.
Mr. Methvin,
Yes.
Mrs. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Iden?
Yes.
And Mrs. Carrier.
Yes. Passes 5-0, and if I'm correct from our paperwork, it'll be resolution 2021-05.
Probably sounds right.
Okay. Jerry, you are all set.
Thank you.
You are very welcome. Thank you again for all your hard work. Okay. Mr. Bassett, you're up after that. So.
Yes, yeah, no problem. Yeah, so there's a lot of, we've been really busy this summer. I know some people wonder what we're doing with all of our time since school's been closed a little longer, but there's a lot of projects we're going through right now. Starting off the year, finding out with all the COVID things, we have possible loss of funds and trying to cut budgets. There's some items we would normally do this year. For instance, mulch, all the property. We're still doing all the landscaping and trimming, but we're not adding any mulch. We also, normally this is the year all the parking lots and blacktop gets resealed and we paint all the lines, but there's a lot of different things like the main gym floor too getting coated, but we're trying to cut budget and save money. So some of those items aren't being done this year, so if people ask, that's the reason why, to save some money. We still have some that are required to do, like fire inspections that are done yearly. Most of those are all done. I do have one more scheduled for tomorrow. It's one that's due every 5 years. We're actually switching vendors because of cost, so they're a little cheaper. Mowing's been a little slower this year, no rain, so it's kind of been nice having had to be out there mowing 2-3 times a week. We also had a project where if you walk through the building, upstairs, downstairs, anywhere, we have a tile, first time in 12, 11 years. We've actually took a power washer and power washed every tile, every grout line, and you can tell a big difference. Kitchen, the walk-in cooler, everything. Looks really nice. We also have in the building addition out back, we have weekly meetings, sometimes 2-3 times I meet with contractors. Anything from plumbing contractors, electric contractors, or fire suppression right now. couple on-site work, and while they're working on the road and the drainage on the east side of the road to 18, they hit a methanol line in our geo field, and we're scrambling to get it shut off, and we lost the air conditioning for a little while. Had a company from Mansfield come in, and was not at our cost. It was the contractor had to fix it and pay for it to be fixed. We're still a little low on that loop of methanol in the system. They bought 4 drums, and John and I hand pumped it all in, and it's still a little low, so they're buying 4 more drums at a time until our system gets back up to normal. We're not noticing any issues whatsoever. Everything's back up. When the company came to fix the line that was hit that morning, they had actually hit another one the same morning. So he had enough material in the truck to fix everything, but they paid that bill. It was close to $3,000. I think it was $2,800 for that. Also, the project you guys had approved a few months back on the wireless urinals to watered urinals, that project's complete too. Jim Fellers and Todd Hagerman finished that project up, put the FRP paneling behind them, and now all the urinals in the building are all watered. We also added urinal partitions. We've had a lot of students and staff ask about having a divider in between there, and John and I installed all those throughout the building too, so every one of those has one. Also, I've had quite a few concerns over the years of our retention pond. So all the water, when it rains, gets collected from the roof, the parking lots, all the downspouts, everything gets funneled back out to that retention pond. The inlet for water going to the retention pond and the outlet that goes to the creek on the other side of Burkhold's field had a lot of trees growing up in it and starting to block stuff off. Mark Savage was here the other day and pulled all those trees out. They're all nice and pulled out easy because it's always wet in there. So got that issue taken care of too. Also, John Battershell made some plexiglass frames for us. There's 9 of them total. All the secretaries, first floor, second floor, all have one. A couple of the speech teachers and special ed type teacher, they have some, plus we have 2 extras in case there's ever a parent meeting or ticket takers or something along those lines. And then one of them's not in the frame, but it's the one for Rita, and it's the attendance window, so the kids can still go in and push the buttons if they need to, but it'll kind of block that off too. So. Also trying to get everything in place for the start of the year when it comes to personal protective equipment, disposable face masks, face shields, hand sanitizer dispensers, bus brackets for hand sanitizer, you name it, sanitizing guns. You think you have it in place and it's going to be here, and then you get a call 2 months later. We just found out it's back ordered for 2 more months. So trying to scramble. I mean, you can buy it, but you're going to pay a pretty penny to get some of the stuff too. So trying to be cost effective on that too. We also went through, due to the COVID concerns and bottle stations throughout the building, went through and retrofitted 13 of the 19 drinking fountains. So there's a bottle filler on the first floor elementary, second floor elementary, first and second floor middle school, high school, and then every one of them in the back of the building are all retrofitted to have a bottle filler. So there's a total of 8 of them there, plus the one in the weight room's done too. So kind of had to do some finagling there to get some lines run and replumb everything. We had to completely replumb everything on it. So also the informational solar piece you guys have asked about, it's actually now online. Schaefer or Hoffman did, I'm not sure which one, but the company had sent us a TV to hang up there in the commons. We took it out of the box and it was severely damaged. You can somebody had to drop it or kick it or run over with the car. It was pretty bad, and they ended up buying a new one, and I ran to Fort Wayne the end of last week and picked it up at Best Buy and got it installed and put everything on the web browser. So down in the commons, there's one that scrolls through and it goes to, it kind of has your home page, kind of shows everything it's producing. It also goes through and it'll go through a graph and it'll go how solar works. There's a lot of different slides through there. If you ever like to see it and not go down the commons, it's also on our school website. If you go to the district tab, scroll all the way down to the very bottom of the district tab, it's under solar information. You click on that and it'll pull it up on your computer, and you can look at it at any time. If it's cloudy out, you'll notice it's not producing as much. If it's nighttime, it's not producing anything. And if it's real sunny out, you'll see how much it's producing. It'll track it day by day. It'll show how much it's produced since it started. It says March 26th. That's the first day it was actually in place, but it was actually, we got the okay to actually officially run on April 2nd. So otherwise, been busy with a lot of different projects. We also added some signage. We've had a lot of people come for athletic events and not being able to locate our restrooms, men's, women's, family, and we put some nice signage kind of matches the rest of the building and put them out above the doors. So it's kind of funny, kids come in and they've talked about the toilet urinal partitions and the signs, wondering how long all that stuff's been there. So, but yep. So I think that's it for me. Unless you guys have any questions.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Great job as always. Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it, thank you. And sorry, I gotta go, I got a council meeting I'm already late for. So. Sorry.
Mr. Slattery.
All right, good evening. Principal update for the high school. Of course, teacher in-service days, they're going to be on August 27th, 28th, the 31st, and the 1st, and I'm sure we're all going to hit on this, but we did back up the start of the school year by 2 days, so that's how we have those 2 additional days. You know, we're preparing for the new school year and the new expectations based on COVID, and of course, we're working with our students and our staff about a safe reopening and return to school. And there's a lot of things that we have planned. Some things are going smoother than others, but it's just a lot of time working together with Mr. Bassett, with each other, talking to our staff, and trying to discuss what's going to be best for our district here at Hicksville. And again, you know, part of what we're going to be doing with those additional days too is training students and family for the potential remote learning that may occur in the future. So we're kind of looking at all the what ifs and buts, and just trying to get a plan together and be as well prepared as possible for the potential possibility of that happening. On September 2nd, of course, that will be our first student day here on campus at Hicksville, but 4 County Career Center starts on Wednesday, August 19th. So we wish all of those students the best of luck as they return to 4 County Career Center. The first student day on September 2nd here on campus, you know, we will be returning to school at 8 a.m. like we always do, but we will be operating on a 2-hour delay schedule. And again, we'll be providing students with expectations and safety protocol at the school. And of course, we want to be able to talk to them in smaller groups and provide the why behind certain changes that are being made. And that way, you know, if they're educated on the why, it's easier to accept, you know, the changes. And again, to do that, since we are not allowed to have large mass gatherings, our goal is to, and again, things are kind of developing as we go, our goal is to have the kids report to 8 a.m. at like their home base or first period class, depending on what grade level they're in. And they will report there at first. We plan on doing like almost like a Zoom presentation from each principal, and then there's going to be a standard PowerPoint or keynote that we're going to present to all of the kids with some minor changes depending on the grade band. Final forms, I'm sure many parents received another alert today. Again, our fall student athletes, they have to complete those tasks before they're able to participate. So I would say a good percentage of our students have completed all of the final forms required for returning to school. But again, to parents, you know, you're going to keep getting those reminders. So get on top of that, get them filled out, and then hopefully we can move on from that. And then of course, you know, here in the high school office, courses for fall. If you have any course change requests, you know, please contact the high school office. Mr. Mike Blue will be in this week to start working with students on making those changes. And then, of course, computers have been picked up for the last 2 weeks. That's continuing to move pretty smoothly. If I had to guess, I would assume probably 35 to 40% of the computers have been picked up already. The Hicksville Virtual Academy. And again, I know a lot of topics we're all going to hit, so I'm sure that you guys can step in if you want to add anything on this or extend on it when you guys speak. You know, it's a requirement by the state to provide that option, which we're doing that. We actually are requiring our district to have a parent meeting that they must attend. We'd like for the student and the parent to attend, but at least the parent. And we had our first meeting on Thursday, August 13th, and we have another one available tomorrow, Tuesday, August 18th at 6 p.m. And again, we're explaining the program and the expectations. You know, Mr. Countryman, he provided a welcome. I'm familiar with the program because we've used it over the last 7 years here at Hicksville, along with Mr. Lawrence assisting us. And it's just, you know, the parents need to know what they're getting themselves into with the kids, and they need to know it's not the remote learning that we did last spring. This is 100% online, virtual academy, distance learning, and the pros and cons for their family to make an educated decision whether it's for them or not for them. And then, of course, after tomorrow's meeting, parents will have until Friday, August 21st to make a commitment to the program, which is a semester commitment. And as of right now, I think I'm going to say we're blessed. We've only got about 2.5% of our total student population have signed up for the academy. We're hoping that doesn't double, of course, but again, that's pretty low considering we had our admin welcome back through the ESC, and Bronson McCord mentioned that districts across the state were looking anywhere from 15% to 30% of students signing up for their virtual academies, so they were going to have some major decisions to be made. So overall for us at roughly 2.5% right now with 5 days to go, to me, that's a positive. Our parents want their kids here at school. And then the last item, and this is the one I get the most phone calls on and text messages, athletics. DeWine speaks again tomorrow. He's going to provide guidance on competition and spectators. And again, kind of like in the spring, if you guys remember commencement, graduation, prom, all that stuff, everybody under the sun, we all have this idea of this safety protocol we want to put in place, but everybody has different opinions on what to do. And as a conference, we've been meeting the GMC, trying to make decisions on this, what's best for our students and our communities. And it seems like a decision that we all have the same idea, but at times we're vastly different opinions on how to solve that problem, or to come together on that idea. We're looking forward again to what DeWine has to say, because we do need that guidance to make some good decisions. And again, parents, number one, we want our kids participating in athletics, but safety's number one. And then of course, parents, we want you there to watch your kids, but again, safety's number one. So, and I've got 3 kids that play sports now, 7 through 12, and it's going to be tough. So we'll see where we stand after DeWine speaks tomorrow, and then we'll start releasing some information on that.
Any questions for Jeff? Okay, Mrs. Kaufman, if you want to.
First of all, a huge thanks to Mr. Slattery for conducting the HVA parent meetings. That's been a huge blessing for us, since he does know the program a lot better. So thank you. I'm not going to repeat anything that he has been doing, because yep, we are all working together, and we're just specializing it for our own little people. So on top of what he added, the classroom teachers of preschool through grade 4 are in the process of writing a welcome letter to their classes, because we will not be doing any type of open house this year. So it does form some challenges. Parents have been great filling out some Google forms that we've been sending out to get bus transportation, breakfast information, parent pickup information. In this letter that should be out within the next week and a half, those letters will include a time, a link for a virtual open house by classrooms. It will also include a 30-minute time slot for a school supply drop-off, just to help with that first day. Students are asked to stay home at that. This is not an open house. This is time just for those parents to drop off those school supplies, maybe pick up their card tags if they have designated of being a parent pickup person, and possibly signing up for the KRA. Because just a reminder that kindergarten students do not start on September 2nd. They start on September 8th, so we can get that state mandated kindergarten readiness assessment test taken. I think that's about, this is an awesome thing. With COVID funds, we've been able to purchase computers, one-to-one computers for 3rd and 4th grade students, along with their bags and the charging stations for the classroom. Unfortunately, the charging stations are the only thing that have come. And the computers may not be here till mid-September, and so that's a little scary. But we are excited to be able to have that opportunity for those 3rd and 4th grade students to be able to use computers in the classroom as well.
So is that going to be like the Google Chromebooks at the other?
Yes.
And so the station, they'll leave it there and they'll grab it every morning type thing?
Yep, and they'll have their own computer, and so if we do go into remote learning, that will be the computer that they take home.
That's awesome.
Yes, which then should filter through, like with what we've already got, then 2nd grade should be able to have one-to-one computers as well. So,
Good.
huge thanks to Matt Hoffman.
Mr. Altman.
All right. So some things we're working on in the middle school is a virtual open house. However, in middle school, we're having our teachers make 1 to 2 minute videos pertaining to their class, their expectations for the class, and basically anything that they would tell the parents at open house. And then they're sending those to me, and I'm going to put together a YouTube video for each grade level composed of all those teachers' videos with an introductory from me, and then also a closing with Mr. Schaefer talking about technology uses in that grade level as well. Those will be posted on our Hicksville Middle School YouTube channel the week of August 24th. Just depends on how quick we get those videos back. Some other things. we're working on is the PD day for teachers, as they all both mentioned. However, we'll have two focuses, one on closing and one on opening. The one on opening would deal with like the gap analysis and the learning progressions from ODE, and using those in conjunction with the critical areas of focus, so we can pinpoint the areas that the students might not have got the best, they might not have absorbed everything they're supposed to absorb from the previous grade, and then how we can tackle that for future learning. And that also goes with some benchmark assessments from ODE as well. And then for some closing PD, as in if school happens to go to closure, working on some remote learning ideas. And with Mr. Andy Hunter and the rest of the admin staff, we've been working on having a voluntary PD on August 24th for our staff to learn some platforms and best practices for remote learning. That's pretty much it.
Thank you very much. I do not have a current Fort County Career Center report, so we will move on to Mr. Countryman.
Yep. As the team already said, we continue to work on reopening the school. The guidelines still challenging as they still change periodically, which makes it a little more difficult for us. We just know that we're willing to do whatever is necessary to have the kids back in the building with us. We do know that. The county's put out some great guidelines for us to use in the event if someone was to test positive or is being tested for COVID, and how that process would work. That they're the ones, obviously, that would do all the contact tracing and contacting of parents. It wouldn't be the school doing that. And then they would determine who would need to be quarantined. But there is a guide that we have that kind of tells us what's going to happen and how it would take place. We had our annual bus service meeting, bus training for bus and van drivers, and everybody showed up, so that's all been taken care of for the year. There is a Title IX training that's required for all employees this year. Steph probably is familiar with that. And luckily, Public School Works, I talked to their representative just the other day, and we have that all lined up for all of our employees to get that training right through Public School Works. It deals with harassment reporting, so that'll be taken care of. As Eric indicated, construction is going great. No real issues other than the geothermal, which has been taken care of. They started laying the block walls and installing the underground plumbing, as Eric had indicated as well. Mike and I and the admin team talked earlier this spring about teacher supply orders and how we could kind of be cautious as to what was going to happen this fall. And typically the teachers place all their supply orders in June, and then we process that in July so that that is all ready to go. But this year we had them cut that in half, because at that time we weren't sure if we were going to return, and so we cut those supplies by 50%. We can easily order the other 50% when that time comes, but this kind of was a little bit of a caution and cushion for us in case we didn't go back. Also, that would be a savings for us, but even larger savings would be, it looks like there's a very strong possibility we'll have only one student, maybe none, at the IEC. So that would save thousands of dollars a year, as you know how expensive that has been for us. We had a couple students move away, and one that's going to be homeschooling. And so we're working with that, but that could be a huge savings for the district. I'll keep you posted on that. As Jerry kind of mentioned, I attended the tax incentive meeting that we had here. They had it a week or so ago. A lot of it had to do with the Hillendale Farm. I also went down and attended the conference call with the owner of Hillendale Farm, so I was a part of that process. And just so you know, the abatements that we do have, we have an APT agreement that was dated October 2013. That was for 70% for 10 years. We have a Gordon Creek Granite abatement that started January 2017 for 70% for 10 years. FWT, their abatement was in May of 2012, and that was 80% for 10 years. Hillendale had their first one in 2013 for 60% for 10 years, and then the one that we just did tonight for 2020 of 70% for 10 years. So that's our current abatements that we have. And that's all I have, unless you have questions for me.
Some of them are going to be falling off real soon.
Yeah, the FWT
Quite a
was the
few
first
close.
one. So that was an 80% abatement, so, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to minutes and financials. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Thank
I'll
you,
second.
Galen. Thank you, Craig. So we have the minutes from the regular board meeting on July 20th, 2020, the treasurer's consent agenda with the cash reconciliation as of July 31st, 2020, financial statements for July 2020, and to approve the amended official certificate of estimated resources for fiscal year 2021 as presented. Total general fund resources of $14,104,169.93, and total resources of all funds of $18,505,048.12. Approve fiscal year 2021 amended temporary appropriations as presented. Total general fund appropriations of $9,252,139.91, and total appropriations of all funds of $11,837,658.53. Mike, any other comments on financials?
No, I don't. Any questions?
We got most of them answered.
I had wondered about the solar one, but you answered that.
Yes, yeah. The solar panel for payment for the electric is they created a vendor, which is the Hicksville Solar. So if you see that payment for that, it is electric associated to the solar panels, solar array.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Methvin?
Yes.
Mr. Iden?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Mazur?
Yes.
And Mrs. Carrier?
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Need a motion for employment of certified staff.
I'll move.
Thank you, Steph.
I'll second.
Thank you, Minda. Recommend to approve the attached addendum to the superintendent's employee contract.
Thank you.
Questions, comments? No? Okay. Roll call.
Okay. Mrs. Mazur?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Iden?
Yes.
Mr. Methvin?
Yes.
Mrs. Carrier?
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. I need another motion for employment of certified staff.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Steph and Galen, thank you. Recommend to rescind the following supplemental contract for the 2020-21 school year. Jeff Hott, head golf coach. Recommend to approve the following supplemental contracts for the 2021 school year. Sandy Brown, district mentor coordinator. Sandy Brown, land lab coordinator. Jeff Hott, co-head golf coach. Tony Tier, co-head golf coach. Recommend to approve the following as LPDC committee members for the 2021 school year. Jeff Hott, Matt Hoffman, Brent Sufel, Jeff Slattery, Beth Stuckey. Recommend to approve the following as district mentors for the 2021 school year. Sandy Brown, Robin Chamberlain, Heather Taylor, Missy Lee, Lisa Savage. Recommend to approve Jackie Underwood as a certified substitute for the 2021 school year. Discussion?
Keith, how are we doing on substitutes?
The ESC puts out a list that they provide us with, and they update it all the time. To be honest, I haven't looked at it to see where it's at. I know that's been a conversation with all of us on, we're expecting a shortage
Right.
Yeah.
I thought-
Locally, we haven't, our usual local people that we count on, haven't heard from only a couple of them, so I'm sure we're gonna be hurting.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Mazur?
Yes.
Mr. Methvin?
Yes.
Mr. Iden?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
And Mrs. Carrier?
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Need a motion for employment of classified staff.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Craig and Minda, thank you. Recommend to approve Allison Sturry as a high school office helper for the summer of 2020 for a maximum of 30 hours at minimum wage. Recommend to approve the retirement resignation from Pam Roth as school health personnel for 2020 school year. Recommend to approve the resignation from Stacy Wagner as afternoon route bus driver for the 2021 school year. Recommend to approve Stacy Wagner as a classified substitute for the 2020-21 school year, and recommend to approve the following supplemental contract for the 2021 school year. Ashley Baum, flag instructor. I hate to see Pam go. She's been here a long time.
Yep,
We
she,
appreciate her.
she was very concerned about the whole COVID issue and taking that home to her husband, who has some underlying issues that could be an issue for him, so.
She
was-
has been.
She cried a lot, and I had to help her through that process, and we'll certainly miss her. She's been a great asset to Hicksville schools for many, many years, and
Can you get a fill-in for the year and then next year potentially if she
I,
wants to try to come back
yeah.
or not, or?
I'm working on that, Craig, and yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later on. No worry, but yeah, I am working on that. I have it advertised till this Friday. I think the applicants need to respond by, so.
Pam was so good about, I'll say loving on our kids, but she was more than just a nurse, you know.
Mhm. I'm sure
She
she
was excellent with them.
Compassionate.
She
She's
Very
represented
compassionate.
Yeah.
a lot of
I've seen
stability
her
for
do
those
the
kids.
diabetic thing with kids, you know, you
Mhm.
see them before they eat, and then they eat, and then she's adjusting it, you know, she's figuring out the cafeteria menu or what they brought. I mean, it's a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
She's excellent with them.
Sorry to see her go, but we understand absolutely.
And
Okay.
Ashley Baum, just so you know, she's been doing that for the last week or so, but I kind of held off on that until this month. But actually, she didn't have all the work completed either. She did before she started though, so. Yeah.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Iden?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Mazur?
Yes.
Mr. Methvin?
Yes.
And Mrs. Carrier?
Abstain. Motion passes 4 yes with 1 abstention. Need a motion for service and agreements.
I'll move.
Craig, thank you.
I'll second.
Galen. Recommend to approve the Education Option Program Agreement administered by the Wood County Education Service Center for the Wood County Juvenile Detention Center and the Juvenile Residential Center of Northwest Ohio, and the Wood County Alternative School for the 2021 school year. Amount for the service to be $75 per student per day for students assigned to JDC, $80 per student per day for students assigned to JRC. Per seat purchase at the ALC is $11,505 for a full year. Per seat at the Wood County ESC schools is $5,753 for 1 semester. Recommend to approve a memorandum of understanding by and between the Hicksville Teachers Association and the Hicksville Exempted Village Schools. Comments, discussion?
ALC,
Yeah, I was looking for that too.
Alternative learning.
which is where? The Wood County?
Alternative learning school.
Wood County.
That
Okay.
one,
Alternative.
No, there's Wood County right below that.
Alternative Learning Center
yeah.
at, right?
At where?
And the Wood County Alternative School. So there's 3 different ones.
So there's JDC, there's JRC, there's, I mean, it's hard to keep them all in line, but what do you guys call at CCNO your learning center? Is that the Alternative Learning Center or is that just JDC?
That's JDC, I thought.
Next door.
You don't have a specific name for it right there.
We don't have anything to do with the juvenile facility. I mean, they're on their own.
I know, it's not.
Yes, the Wood County Juvenile Detention Center, Juvenile Residential Center for Northwest Ohio, yeah.
Okay, the ALC is part of Wood County.
Educational
ESC.
Service Center.
Alternative school.
But it's their alternative school.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Iden?
Yes.
Mr. Methvin?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Mazur?
Yes.
And Mrs. Carrier?
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Now we are going to flip over to our addendum to services and contracts. Need a motion.
I'll move.
Steph?
I'll second.
Minda? This is a motion to approve a memorandum of understanding by and between RFS Behavioral Health, Tackle Behavioral Health, and Hicksville Exempted Village Schools. I would like to just again support this group. They do such a great job, and so glad.
At no cost to us, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's great.
yeah, really appreciate them. Roll call.
Mrs. Mazur?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Iden?
Yes.
Mr. Methvin?
Yes.
And Mrs. Carrier?
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. So we're going to go back to other business. Need a motion?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Steph? Thank you. Recommend to approve the following new or revised Board of Education bylaws and policies. 1520, the employment of administrators. 1530, evaluation of principals and other administrators. 2266, non-discrimination on the basis of sex in district programs or activities. 2270, religion in curriculum. 3220, standard-based teacher evaluation. 3411, placement on salary schedule. 5200, attendance. 5610, removal, suspension, expulsion, and permanent exclusion of students. 5611, due process rights. 6144, investments. 6152, student fees, fines, and charges. 6152.01, waiver of school fees for instructional materials. 6325, procurement of federal grants and funds. 8450.01, protective facial coverings during pandemic and epidemic events. And 8800, religious patriotic ceremonies and observances. If you ever need to go to sleep, you can read all of those online. Good reading. Recommend to approve the Hicksville Exempted Village Schools Remote Learning Plan as presented for the 2021 school year. Recommend to approve 2021 bus routes and designate authority to the superintendent to designate or relocate subsequent school bus stops. Recommend to approve the high school, middle school staff handbook for the 2021 school year. Recommend to approve the elementary school handbook for the 2021 school year. Recommend to approve the high school, middle school student handbook for the 2021 school year. Recommend to approve the in-state and out-of-state tuition rate for the 2021 school year.
I did like how that policy 5200 told them right up front how they were going to check for attendance. End of the hour quizzes, end of the hour surveys, end of the hour, you know. I like it.
Yep.
I'm sure the kids will love it too.
Oh, the kids will love it. Yeah. But there's some accountability, which is good.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Mazur?
Yes.
Mr. Methvin?
Yes.
Mr. Iden?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
And Mrs. Carrier?
Yes. And motion passes 5-0. I need another motion.
I'll move.
I'll
Craig
second.
and Steph, thank you. Recommend to approve notice that the Hicksville Exempted Village Schools will offer a public meeting to provide the opportunity for public comment on the district's use of IDEA Part B funds with recommendations or suggestions for special education programs and services. Liz Perna, school psychologist, and Kirsten Kaufman, elementary principal, will be available for this meeting on Wednesday, September 16th, 2020 at 3 p.m. at the Hicksville Elementary School in the elementary office conference room or by appointment at a later date. I can call you with questions. Wonderful. Okay. Roll call?
Mr. Iden?
Yes.
Mrs. Mazur?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Methvin?
Yes.
Mrs. Carrier?
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. One more motion. Two more.
Two more. We have that.
Three more.
Okay.
Who's coming?
Galen?
I'll move.
You looked at me. I'm going to take
No.
it.
I was waiting.
Okay.
Who was the second?
Steph.
Okay.
So to approve the resolution number 2021-04 for authorizing filing of the bankruptcy proof of claim. And I questioned Keith on this, and so it's one of those, we can possibly have money
Yeah.
from.
The attorneys advised us to try it.
Just have-
Most likely won't get anything, but you don't know if you don't try, so.
Related to the opioid
Opiate.
epidemic
That's
through,
right.
it's a national
Pharmaceuticals.
lawsuit,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, so there's no cost involved in our side, but if it works out, we get something back in return. If
You know,
not,
I filed in one of those lawsuits one time, and I made out with like $4.
Wow.
Yeah.
$4 you didn't have before.
That's right. Bought
Take
my
that
lunch.
yearly installments or?
Just one.
I sitting as a school treasurer over the years, I've received a number of these. I don't know if any of them ever been more than about $27. So,
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Methvin,
Yes.
Mrs. Mazur,
Yes.
Mr. Iden,
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
And Mrs. Carrier?
Yes, motion passes 5-0, and we're going to the addendum to other business and need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Linda?
I'll second.
Steph, thank you. Didn't we already?
This was some more light reading, by the way.
Gotcha, thank you. Recommend to approve elementary school staff handbook for the 2021 school year. Recommend to approve the activity advisors and coaches handbook for the 2021 school year. Recommend to approve the junior high and high school athletic code for the 2021 school year. And recommend to approve the drug testing policy for the 2021 school year. Roll call?
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Mazur?
Yes.
Mr. Iden?
Yes.
Mr. Methvin?
Yes.
And Mrs. Carrier?
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Any old business? We've been doing pretty good in keeping up on old business and getting stuff taken care of. So we don't really have any. No? Okay. Any other discussion?
Just to remind the principals, I don't know if I remind you or not, if Aaron said anything to you from the Crescent to email your reports to him, if you could do that. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Then, so I need a motion to go into executive session for number 1, to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, demotion, etc. With no action will be taken afterwards.
I'll move.
Galen, thank you.
I moved already.
Oh,
okay,
I didn't
I'll
hear you.
second.
I'm sorry.
I didn't hear it either.
Did you hear it?
Did you say it out loud?
No.
I said I moved, yes. Did you guys hear me?
Okay, Steph and Galen. Right.
Mike is just going to take my side because he has to, right?
And then, just to let you know, we will be meeting for our next meeting on September 21st at 5:30. So, motion to go into executive session, say at 6:45? Okay.
6:45, we got time.
Roll call?
Mrs. Mazur?
Yes.
Mr. Methvin?
Yes.
Mr. Iden?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
And Mrs. Carrier.
Yes, motion passes 5-0.